Hey students, I hope you're doing well. Happy Monday to you. It is late but we need to talk through some things on your rough drafts that I saw this week. And then we need to jump into this final presentation and what that's going to look like for you guys. So without further ado, let's get to some of the things that I'm seeing on these final papers. So first of all, I just want to say you guys did a great job. I think the questions really helped you narrow down your topic and really kind of figure out what you wanted to really unpack and consider as scholars. But one thing that I am realizing is that a lot of you are still struggling with the whole idea of the format of a collegiate essay and what that looks like. So let's talk first about your introduction. An introduction, as we all know, has several parts that have to be included. First, we have the hook. And remember, the hook is an attention getter, you guys. Some of you are using questions that are rhetorical or just kind of blanket statements. You're not really thinking about what grabs the reader's attention. So I want you to think it's very much like you're on a first date. You want to say something that's going to really leave a lasting impression and get someone interested in the person that you are. That's kind of like this. When you're writing a paper, you want to write something that's really going to engage a reader and get their attention, make them want to read what you have to say. Think if you were standing in front of an audience and you're trying to pitch this idea and you only have one shot. What are you going to say to make them want to listen to you so that they're not flipping through their phone or looking at the person next to them and asking them what time it is? Hook their attention. The next thing we're going to talk about is background information. And really, I tell my students, background information is your why. Why is this so important? Why does this matter? Why should someone want to think about this problem? Give me the reason why your thesis is so relevant. A lot of you are really underdeveloping this idea and you're only writing a sentence or two. This portion should be a minimum of 5 to 7 sentences. And then finally, your thesis. Your thesis should be which part of the argument you fall on. That should be very clear. It should not be a two-sided idea. It's not a compare and contrast. It's not a cause and effect. Your thesis statement is sharing with the reader where you fall in this argument. So that's the introduction. The next thing I want to talk about are your body paragraphs. And the first idea that we need to talk about are your topic sentences. Now, your topic sentence is the first sentence of a body paragraph. And remember, these should be argumentative. You're trying to prove your case and prove your point. So if you're proving a point about why children should not be allowed maximum screen time, then each topic sentence should share a different point of why that matters and why you believe that idea. Or maybe the opposite. Maybe you think they should. Then give reasons as to why that is. The topic sentence should always relate back to the thesis, and it should be a good portion of your argument, okay? And then I want you to explain that topic. Go a little bit more into detail. Act as if your reader has never heard anything about this before and explore it. There should at least be 1 to 3, really closer to the 3 marked sentences before you're jumping into research. But make no mistake, research is important. Every single body paragraph should have a research component. Without a research component, it's just your ideas. It's your monologue. It's what you think. But it's not really, it's not research-based. It doesn't have a scientific or a proven background. And then there's connecting that research. After you've done the research and you've cited it and you've shown your reader what you're looking for, then you have to examine it. Connect it back to that topic, show why it's relevant and why it matters. Talk about why it's so important or why the author is someone that's worth listening to. If it's a statistic you're sharing, then talk about how astounding that statistic is or why we should be paying attention to it. When you just throw research out there and you don't tie it back into the topic, then you're expecting that the reader understands why you use that piece of evidence. You are responsible for sharing that why. You are responsible for drawing it back to that original topic sentence in that paragraph. And then finally, after you've done all of that, you need a summative sentence or a transitional idea. What this does is it shows the reader that you're moving from one part of the argument to the next. And I tell a lot of my students, think about if you're having a conversation with someone and you're talking about how you do or don't like to decorate for Christmas. Okay. And I'm only saying this because I'm looking around at my own Christmas decorations and you're telling them, this is what I like to do. I like to do it on October 31st or the day after Thanksgiving, or maybe you're on the other side and you're like, I don't do Christmas. I don't decorate for Christmas. Whatever that is, if you're talking about that and then all of a sudden you shift to, I also like to eat apple pie on Thanksgiving. It's very abrupt and the reader doesn't understand or the listener doesn't understand why you switch topics so quick. And it's kind of like this squirrel moment that you're having. What a summative sentence does or a transition sentence is it really eases the reader into the next part of that argument or the next part of that conversation. And then finally, let's talk about your conclusion. The conclusion has two jobs, okay? You are always going to restate that thesis statement and you're wrapping it up. This is not the place for new information. This is not the part where you start sharing other new ideas. You are restating the main points and you're wrapping up your argument. Guys, I want you to remember this is 4 pages. Some of you really had a lot of underdevelopment going on and you needed to expand more and really talk through those ideas. Some of you simply needed ideas and you needed more cohesion and thought to your argument. Some of you didn't have research in any of your paragraphs. And again, that's super problematic. So I want you to think about all these different aspects and ask yourself, what am I missing? And don't neglect what we learned all semester long. I know we did a literature unit last time, but at the very beginning of the semester, we talked about that topic sentence and really engaging with that topic and giving sound research that really shows why that topic is valid and why it still matters today, and then examining that research and transitioning. Don't forget your body paragraph key components, and don't forget that your thesis is always the most important part of your essay. If I'm questioning your thesis, I'm going to question your whole paper. And then these are just a few things to consider that don't have anything to do with really the structure of your essay, but more just points that you're going to lose if you don't consider some of these basic grammar and mechanic ideas. A lot of you are still writing in second person point of view. And what this looks like is using you or you are or we or us language. And guys, what I want you to remember is this is an academic paper. It's not conversational. So you don't want to be placing beliefs on the reader or engaging with the reader in a way that sounds like you're trying to preach to them. You want to write an unbiased third person point of view language. And again, I just reiterated it here. No conversation language, no rhetorical questions. A lot of you like to use those for hooks or you start using them throughout your body paragraphs. And remember, you're selling your reader on this argument. So if you start using rhetorical questions, especially when you're not using them sparingly, what you're doing is you're acting as though you're still thinking about it or you're still considering your ideas, or you're asking your reader to consider those ideas. And we want to avoid that because we're trying to prove a point. Check over your MLA format. I can't stress this enough. Going back to those body paragraphs, when you are using research, let's just, for example, say the writer is John Smith, okay? John Smith examines the issues that many children can have socially when they are given too much screen time. And then I'm going to put the page number here and the period after. A lot of you are forgetting that the name is essential. And if there's no name, okay, let's pretend there's no author, then we want to use the article title. So in the article, I'm just making this up, why kids should only have 30 minutes a day. The writer examines the issues that many children can have socially when they are given too much screen time. What I want you to remember is the author is always the most important thing. If there is an author, you should be using that author's name either in the phrase that leads into the research, or if you don't use it in that phrase, then you should be using the last name in the in-text citation. If the work has page numbers, those should always be used. You should never have para or page or the year of publication randomly. It should simply be the last name and the page number, no commas, no crazy stuff like that. And then finally, check over sentence structures. A lot of you are making issues like fragments or comma splices or run-on sentences. You're making them quite often. And a lot of that is just from not reading the paper aloud. Read the paper out loud. Get a partner and have them read it out loud to you. Listen and hear the mistakes and then correct those. And then as always, the Gaston Writing Center is always a great resource. Reach out to them, have them look over your editing, and they'll also look over major revisional issues like your paragraph formation, your thesis statements, your organization, your cohesion, all of those big point skill items. Guys, I hope this is helpful. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. I've loved seeing some of you in my office this week or via Zoom. And be sure to make sure that you watch the next Ed Puzzle, as we are going to be talking about the final exam. I look forward to those final papers on Friday, and have a great week.